Here we go. All right. Welcome, everybody. It's the February Builder Town Hall. I am Meredith Oliver, president and founder of Meredith Communications. We're a digital marketing company that specializes in home builder marketing. We also do online sales consulting and sales training and various other things. If it has to do with builders and making sales, we're here to help. Of course, we do Builder Town Hall. We do that each month. We're glad that you're here because we know how busy you are. This is crazy. In fact, let me show you some of the data that we've been looking at. Matt may want to speak to this a little bit later as well, what they've been seeing at group 2. So I'm going to hit share screen, show you some of our numbers here. So this is our national benchmark and trend report. This is a report where we track, it's about 75 home builder websites around the country. And there's a couple markets in Canada that we're also tracking. So about 47 markets between US and Canada. And let me show you this roller coaster ride you've been on over the last 12 months. So these are total website visits of these 75 builder websites. So here we were pre-COVID 2020, right? And then it jumps up and this is what happens. And then look at what January 2021 did. Again, completely outperforming what was record-breaking 2020 traffic driven by the pandemic. So then we can take that same bar graph that I'm showing you here, and then the red line puts the previous 12 months. So it just shows you what an unbelievable ride that we've been seeing in terms of traffic. And you know that, but you only know it in terms of the community that you sell in, or if you're in marketing side of the business, the builder that you're marketing. And I just want you to see it from a much bigger perspective that in fact, this is happening across the country in the States and into Canada, that these numbers are crazy. Now, in the last 30 days, I've literally never seen the kind of numbers in Google Analytics. I was joking with our panelists before we started. I've literally never seen, it's been the most fun to review Google Analytics numbers like this. Look at this report. I opened up the first dashboard of every report and they're all in the green. It's like a Christmas tree. All the percentages are green. They're like, wow, our website's doing so well. You guys are doing such great digital marketing. Well, thank you. It's super fun to look at report after report. Look at this. After report. I've never had so many client reports all in the same month. This is crazy, where all the dashboards were in the green. And not only the total website traffic, the quantity are in the green, but the quality. So what you were seeing there on those dashboards was page time on site was up, total pages viewed was up, and then the conversion reports were up. So total volume of leads generated. The OSCs will tell you, and I'm sure Mike will speak to this probably towards the very end of our town hall when we do the open forum panel, what the online sales counselors are seeing in terms of lead generation, phone calls, live chats, etc. It's all up, green over green percentages. All right. So here we've got what I'm calling a roller coaster ride. But I thought, I don't need to tell you that. You're living it. It can be kind of stressful, right? But has anybody reminded you to enjoy it? So as I've been reviewing these reports with our clients, I've been telling everybody, okay, let's stop. And so I thought today on Town Hall, maybe the gift that our panel and our experts today, what they could do for you would be to help you to take a deep breath. Because I don't think we need to help you sell any more houses today, right? And as always, in town hall, our goal is to be the most relevant to where you are right this minute, to be the most in tune with what's happening with you. So we don't bring you canned presentations with slide decks and bullets of stuff we wrote 5 years ago. I evolve this material and come up with it and bullet point it and write it out on legal pads, sometimes the day before, because I want it to be exactly what you need when you need it. And it seems like to me, maybe what you need right now, maybe let's all do it together and get really woo-woo, is a deep breath. Because I can tell you this, these green over green over green over green percentages, this kind of stuff, it happens once in a career, maybe twice, maybe 3 times if you have an awesome long career in this amazing industry that we all serve and we work in. So maybe 2-3 times in a career, you're going to get a market like this. This is a gift. This is a gift. These numbers are amazing and they're fun. So today I thought maybe what we could do is put the fun back into the roller coaster ride we're on. Now, have you ever noticed that there are basically 2 ways generally that people ride roller coasters? And I want you, everybody in the chat, I want you to chat in. Which way are you in terms of riding a roller coaster? Are you eyes wide open, hands off, roller coaster rider? Or are you, and you know what's coming next, eyes closed, white knuckler? Like this, okay? I'm gonna look over in chat. Okay, open up, 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 no fear. Woo, you people are brave. Up, up, oh, white knuckles, white knuckle, white knuckle. Okay, good. You know exactly what you are. There's 2 ways. And I don't know that either one's right or wrong. It doesn't matter. But I'm telling you right now, in this market, right? Which one are you? How are you going to approach the ride that we're on right now? This insane, busy, over the top, green over green, off the chart busyness. How are you going to handle that? Are you going to go into it eyes wide open, hands up? I'm going to enjoy this ride because this is a once or twice in a career ride. Or am I going to go into this white knuckled, eyes clenched? Or maybe you'll use a combination of techniques depending on what's happening each day. I could go for that. The point is you figure out what works best for you. As long as your outcome at the end of it is you figure out how to enjoy it. Okay. So our goal today is to bring you some techniques and some real world tactics to help you to enjoy the ride. And we're going to get very specific about how you're going to do that with our guests and our panelists today, all under that umbrella. So the first thing that I want to do is talk to you about an educational opportunity that's going to come up next week that will absolutely teach you and help you learn how to enjoy the ride. So I want to bring on Mike Lyon, who is going to preview us and talk to us about the Super Sales Rally that's coming on next week as part of the Builder Show, because I'm going to be part of that. He's going to be part of that, along with several other amazing speakers and thought leaders that could definitely teach us how to enjoy the ride. Because I think in the description of the sales rally, Mike, didn't you in that description talk about something about the new golden age of sales?
That's
kind of
right.
This idea of the ride.
That's right. 2020 was a roller coaster year. That's how it started off. It was crazy. It still is a little crazy. And I'm thankful that I'm tall enough to ride, because there's a lot of people out there and businesses that can't even get on this ride right now. So I'm right there with you, as hard as it is. And we live it and breathe it just like you guys. I'm grateful that I'm not in like the the bus line business or something else is just getting hammered right now. So yeah, it's crazy, but we're lucky. It's the good kind of crazy that we want, and we will all survive, right? We will all survive. But our description that we had for the sales rally originally, we had to scrap it because this isn't what we turned in before. So I'm excited. Thank you so much, Meredith, for having me and allowing me to talk about this, because it's my first year to ever host the Super Sales Rally. I've been a part of it before, but I've never gotten to host it. So I said, let's just do it virtual. We don't need to fly anywhere. Let's just do it virtual. So yeah, we're excited. It's called Future Proof Your Sales Skills. We're going to talk about what works now and also what's going to work past the pandemic. A lot of fantastic speakers, including the one and only Meredith Oliver. Obviously, she's going to be there. She's going to be first up and the one leading us off. We've got some other great folks too. I want to talk about the new people who's their first time participating in the sales rally. We've got Chad Shanjagrin. Those of you guys are probably out there in the world know who he is. Elena Money Garmin, she's on today. She is going to be a first time presenter. I can't wait for her to share her message. She's talking about building strong, genuine connections quickly and how that is a salesperson's superpower. We've got Quentin Lears is returning. That's great. And we've got Amy O'Connor. She's a first time with Shore Consulting. She's talking about while doing the virtual presentation, a virtual sales presentation the right way. So a lot of good stuff that everybody's going to be sharing. And this is exciting for us. I mean, IBS is virtual IBSX, but we're going to be live. So next week, we're going to be live. You can tune in. Your whole sales team can tune in. It's going to be fun. Are you excited, Meredith?
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll have a very similar feel to town hall in that we do this live stream to you. It's not pre-recorded, so it doesn't have that canned feels. The sales rally, Mike really worked hard and advocated to the Builder Show, strongly suggesting, recommending we want to be live. And
we were going to walk out. Let's tell them. We said, we're leaving. This is live or I'm out of here.
He really advocated for that. And I just really, applaud you for that, because it gives a completely different feel. So it will be live. You will be able to ask your questions in chat and have that really good feel to it, that energy that only live can do.
Yeah. And that's, the bummer is we don't get to see each other in person and we don't get to be there all together. The good thing about this is I'm excited that this is opening up access to salespeople who never get to come to the Builder Show. I mean, a lot of companies don't send salespeople. So you register, you get a ticket, bring your whole sales team, wear your mask, socially distant, and watch it in the conference room. It's super easy to do. You just have to go to the Builder Show, register, get your ticket for education, and then make sure you set your calendar for February 10th at 11 o'clock. It's a 2-hour session. It's fast and furious. And you get to engage, heckle us. We'll take heckling and we'll take questions. But a lot of great presenters sharing a lot of great information. So I'm excited. I see from over here in the chat, I want to see who's the most excited in the chat. Oh, Bobby Peevely. Hello, sir. Yes, Lion Peevely 2024. I'll jump on that ticket. We'll do that for sure.
Right?
So
yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. What I love about it is we do have some new voices. Yeah. Which I think is fantastic. Having been in it before and seeing the surveys that come back from previous, almost every year on the surveys, it always says, would love to see some fresh information or fresh voices. And that's always a request. So to have that this year, I think is fantastic.
I agree 100%. Yep.
And it's from people who are very experienced in our industry and very experienced speakers, but they're fresh to the rally. And I think that will be outstanding.
Oh yeah. Amy O'Connor, pros frontline, working out there. Chad Shanjagrin, great message, great story. And Elena Money Garmin she'll make you cry if you're not careful. If you don't watch it, you'll be crying. So she's presented at the Online Sales and Marketing Summit for us and to our groups. And I've seen her present so many times. She's a superstar. So, and then, it's Meredith. Meredith, this would have been your 20th Builder Show?
This is my 20th consecutive year speaking, not even just
Speaking.
attending, like
That's
20th
crazy.
consecutive years selected to speak and spoke. Can you believe that?
That's amazing in
I
itself.
can't be that
So
old. I know.
she's speaking at 7 years old. And then Quentin Lears, I mean, come on, last year he was a rookie of the year at the Super Sales Rally. So he's back to share a message with us. He's a frontline salesperson.
Right?
He sold, I
Doing
don't
the
remember how
real
many homes
thing.
he said he sold this year, 100 something homes or something. It
know.
was crazy.
So I have a confession to make, Mike. The
Hit
other
it.
day, I'm doing some sales training, virtual, obviously, for a builder, and I didn't really pay attention. You know how it is. You just kind of crash land. You start doing your thing. You're teaching away. I'm on Zoom. I look over there in the chat, Quint Lears. And I'm like,
Hicks Brothers.
He works here. And then I got all like, and then I'm like, oh, I hope this is good. I hope I'm, and then I'm like, oh, I should have reviewed this more. I should have put more time. I'm like, oh, and then I got all nervous because Quint was watching me, because that's how much respect I have for Quint Lears.
Don't mess up in front of Quint. That's right.
I didn't want to. All right, we got to wrap this up, Mike, but thank you. I know you're going to hang out for panel later.
Yeah, I'll be back later.
Yeah, if you have questions during open forum question on online sales, you're welcome to bring those for Mike and he will answer them. Okay, so let me bring on our next guest in just a second. Jeff Shore is going to be up next. I want to bridge into that by giving you a little bit of preview of what I'm going to be talking about at the rally next week. So as I began to think about my topic, I didn't want to bring you like how to sell more homes with digital marketing or right now, because I just thought, well, again, your numbers are so good. What do you need? So I thought, well, what you need is, how are you going to manage what you've got? Because you're busy, you're overwhelmed, you've got a lot of leads, your OSCs are exhausted. They need 10 days at the spa right now, and they need 3 more people to help them on their team, right? OSCs, write in, how much vacation do you need right now in the chat, right? We'll try to get that approved for you. I mean, so as I thought about it, I thought what they need is to figure out how they can streamline processes, how they can work better together, how sales, marketing, and OSC, those 3 components, work as seamlessly, as integrated as possible. Now, again, I know there are more components to the organization. There's operations, there's construction, there's customer service, warranty, but those aren't the components of the organization typically that I work in or that I touch. So I'm focused on sales, marketing, and online sales, right? So I'm thinking, if we were to think about how we integrate those 3 pieces together and seamlessly interact as a team. And then what the word that came to me was allies. If we were to work together proactively as an ally. So I ran this idea by Mike several months ago, really now, as a topic for the rally. He was like, yeah, I think you might have something there. What if the sales team was an ally for marketing? What if the marketing team was an ally for sales? What if sales was an ally for the OSCs? What if the OSCs were allies for marketing, and so forth? Because if you think about it, what is an ally? Well, over the past few years, our social justice causes and movements in this country have taught us what an ally is. An ally is someone who proactively stands up and works for the good and the success of others. Instead of just passively waiting or hoping, they actively help other people be successful. Because I think the more that you all work together as teams, the more seamlessly the experience will be. The more you begin to actually enjoy the ride as you enjoy each other. Because at the end of this, all of this busyness and craziness, you'll either possibly love the people you work with, or you won't. And you'll be left with a culture of, I hate all of you and we're all miserable. And our customers, by the way, hate us too. Or this was fun and busy and exhausting. And you know what? I wouldn't have done it with anybody else. So when I began to think about who in the world of sales in our industry could talk to us about the sales team and representing that sales part of the culture, I thought of Jeff Shore. I thought, if I want to know I'm marketing, I want to know, how can sales be an ally to marketing and marketing become an ally to sales? I thought, I have to ask Jeff Shore. So I'm going to bring Jeff Shore on and bring on, yep, you got your camera, you're unmuted. Hi.
Hey,
So
great to be here, Meredith. Yeah,
thank
and I'm
you.
honored. You thought of sales, you thought of me. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. Much love, much love.
of course.
Meredith, how have you done through all of this? I mean, just go back over the last 10 months. What has been your secret to staying on the racetrack here?
I have doing the town halls has been my favorite part of all of
Yeah.
this. It has been very energizing. It's been hard and energizing because it's kept me kind of on the pulse of all of this. So that's been the good part. There's been hard parts of it as well. I think I've worked a lot more.
Yeah.
And in different ways. How about you?
Right. Yeah, listen, it's, well, first of all, we're in the right business, right? We picked the right business to be a part of. There's no question about it. And my heart breaks for those people who have really had a tough time just trying to hold employment over the course of the last many months. But, I got some introvert tendencies. I 34 going on 35 years with Karen now, and we still like each other. Although
Right?
yesterday afternoon, she did say to me, if you want to play hockey tonight, you won't break my heart. So, but we've enjoyed that. We got ourselves a COVID dog. That's all good. But mostly, I'm just really excited. And one of the reasons I'm excited is because when I look at what's happened here over the course of the last many months, it's one thing to see how we have had to adjust to what's going on. It's another thing to see how our clients, how home builders have had to adjust and adjust very, very quickly. But to me, the big variable is how quickly and thoroughly buyers adjusted. That's the one that still is mind blowing to me, that buyers are okay clicking a button to buy a home, that buyers are okay chatting on video, and sometimes we're more hung up on it than they are. So that's encouraging to me, because that's a long-term thing, right? Long after vaccines for everyone, and we're past the COVID thing, those changes are going to last, and we needed it. I think it's a really, really cool opportunity moving forward.
Yeah. There is an aspect of our lives where we didn't go digital first. That's it. Digital
Yep.
first. That's the experience now.
Yeah.
And so that's an opportunity. And as we said, there's some industries were winners in that category. Housing's one of them.
Yeah.
Other industries have really struggled, and our heart breaks for those.
Yeah.
So how are your clients?
But I will say one thing here, Meredith, and that is that if you are involved in the marketing and sales of homes, every home that gets built creates more jobs. And so it's not just that we're providing a home for somebody, we are employing people with every home that we sell. And that ought to be encouraging to us. The entire economy needs what we are doing right now. Can you imagine the state of the union where it would be today economically if housing was not doing what it is doing? So it's a beautiful thing. It's a great story.
Yeah, that's right. So I shared some of the marketing data that we're seeing. What about you? What you're seeing from your clients, the sales
Mhm.
data on your side? Are you seeing
Yeah.
and hearing some of those similar stories? Busy, busy,
Yeah.
busy.
There's no question. And you said, you go through your entire career, you might see a market like this once, maybe twice. And for me, it's been a little over 30 years for me in the home building industry, and I can truly say that I've not seen anything like it. And I would have said that back in 2006, right? I would have said I've
That's
not seen anything like that. I'll probably never see anything like this in my lifetime. And then here comes along, 2020 and into
that's
2021, and to see those numbers that you showed, the January hits, oh my goodness, that is just, I mean, January, that was 2 days ago, folks. And those are people that are just beginning their search. So,
correct.
on addition to everybody that is out there, watch out for the flood of people that are going to keep coming.
Coming.
But yeah, there's no question about it. Probably the biggest issues that we're going to deal with right now are inventory issues. And that's what I'm hearing from my clients more than anything else. Uh, some builders got out there in front of the land more than others. And I think that they're going to be in a really good position, but that's probably the single biggest issue we're going to have to deal with. I think there's a threat of an interest rate bump, but right now it's going to be the supply constraints that are going to present our biggest challenges in the months to come.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about how this idea, this thought that this like thread I'm trying to pull here on this
Yeah,
creating allies on the team? Because
right.
I think we've had silos. We've
Hmm.
marketing is marketing, sales is sales, and we've really had a silo of online sales as well. I understand the silos because in one sense, we have to understand why marketing is different than sales because we need people to functionally do different things. Uh, but then at the same time, we have to have communication so that it's smooth enough so we're operating efficiently.
Hmm. And I think that that's the key that you just hit on right there, Meredith. That if you're working with someone, and that's what allies do, they work together, then there has to be that underlying sense of communication. And the problem is that we're all running so fast and there are so many things going on that our natural desire, because we are so constrained by both time and attention, that our natural desire is to provide the minimum amount of communication that I need to be able to check the box and move on to my next task. And that's what's going to get us into trouble. This is not a time to under communicate. This is a time where we've got to look at it and say, how do I double down on that level of communication? So for example, in the relationship between OSCs and on-site sales people, th- yes, we can rely on our CRM and we should, but that's only the start of the process. There are going to be very, very valuable pieces of information, and even just understanding the tone of a customer and the emotional journey that they're going through that'll be hard to capture in this CRM. Pick up the phone. Let's have that quick chat along those lines. Same thing the other way, for the frontline salespeople to be able to call the OSCs and say, "I'll tell you something. When you're figuring this out and getting that to me in advance, that's making my job so much easier. Do more of that. Thank you." So that the idea here is that our brain is going to say communicate at the least. Our heart has got to say communicate at the most.
Yes, that's right. Yes. And that's really where when I do the rally next week, I'm going to give some types of communication examples. Like,
Yeah.
when do you want to loop somebody in? When do you want to just FYI somebody? Transactional examples. Like, there's different
Yeah.
kinds of little communication. And sometimes you just kind of need to know what those examples are and when
Yeah.
you use which one. And if you
Right.
get that in your head, you can really do it pretty quick. It could be a
Yeah.
text message or a quick voicemail.
I agree. I also think that when it comes to the idea of allies, that there are, we can look at some analogies from other parts of the world. So if I look, for example, at military, if I love reading historical fiction. I don't like reading history books, but I like reading
Me too.
really well researched historical fiction. And
Yeah.
one of the things that you see in the military is that you figure out pretty darn quick that the frontline soldier is not any more important than the guy who is going to bring the supplies up the line to make sure that there are actually bullets for the gun, right? So you show me a soldier without a weapon, and it's going to be a tough battle right there, you know? Or I look at, Barry Sanders, one of the greatest football players ever, and he would buy Rolex watches for his offensive linemen. Nobody ever pays attention to the offensive linemen unless they commit a penalty, and then they put them up on the big screen, right? It's the running
Yeah,
back that gets all the attention. But when you think about allies, sometimes it means that you've got to look and say, I have to decrease in my own ego in order to make sure that I'm helping people get the credit that they are due, because that's what allies do. They support one another.
they do. And the other key aspect is they are proactive. So they seek to find opportunities to help somebody else be successful.
Yeah.
So that's what can I do? What do I need to let that person know, just in case that's a nugget of information that can help that person. So it's that proactive communication. And we've preached that for years with our salespeople, and proactively letting our customers know what's happening this week with their home, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. When we think about, sometimes it comes down to the idea of necessary communication and unnecessary communication. And
Yes.
so when we start looking at it, we're saying, well, this is absolutely necessary. I'm going to fire it up in an email, and there we go. And you know what? I deem this to be unnecessary communication, so I'm not even going to bring it up. I would rethink that. And the reason that I would say that is that I'm learning this firsthand. I play ice hockey, or Angela, as they call it in Canada, hockey. I had a guy come up to me once after I said ice hockey in a speech in Canada. He said, "Hey, this is Canada, eh? You don't need to say ice. We know what hockey is." Anyway, uh, I play hockey, and I'm the captain of one of the two teams that I play on. And no, Angela, there is no other type of hockey, as a matter of fact, that I know of anyway. So I'm the captain of one of the teams. Well, what's happening is we're playing right now, but we're playing in a COVID environment, which means that there are tents set up outside where we have to change in, and it's not the locker room idea. And then afterwards, we like to think that my drinking team has a hockey problem. We enjoy a good adult beverage after one of the games. Well, the lounge is closed now, and so that's what I would have otherwise called superfluous communication, right? The talking in the locker room and the chatting over the beer after the game. As it turns out, that communication is really, really necessary. And so
Yes.
we think about what's necessary and unnecessary. And I would argue that maybe all communication is necessary, and maybe even the relational communication between allies is even more important. The opportunity just to be able to support one another, acknowledge one another, praise one another is really, really valuable, but it goes missing in environments where we get really, really busy.
It's true. Yeah. And when we're more virtual too, if your team's all remote, then communication tends to be more transactional in nature
It
anyway.
does. It does. Yeah,
So that
absolutely. Yeah.
complicates it as well. So let's talk about how to make sure that the message is congruent between sales and marketing, because this is another
Yeah.
place where we can get off track.
Right.
Sales is saying one thing, marketing's pushing a different message. We're not
Yeah.
all kind of allies in our messaging.
Yeah, this has always been a pet peeve of mine, and I don't know that Meredith, you and I have never spoken about it, but I have to believe it's a pet peeve of yours as well, and that's brand inconsistency, right?
Yes.
When a company says I'm going to be this, but the actual experience is quite different. And to me, the obvious example was a slogan that has long since been retired, but United Airlines once called themselves the Friendly Skies.
Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Now,
no.
look, I happen to believe that United may be on the upswing on that, but I wouldn't know because I bailed on United several years ago and I'm a million-mile flyer on United, and I don't fly them any more than I absolutely have to. But to call them the Friendly Skies sounded like something that would be a good idea from somebody in the marketing department. They just forgot to tell everybody else in the organization.
Yeah.
And so, when we look at that here, there's the idea of that brand cohesiveness and congruency, so that what the customer is seeing on the marketing side is consistent into the sales side. So, there are times when, and I've just sort of found this anecdotally, that salespeople have never really spent much time on their own company's website. They're not even sure what the company is saying on the website. And yet that is the customer's primary source of of information early on in the process. So I
Mhm.
think it's in our best interest to look at it and say, what is being said, what is being communicated? Are the things, even the details that are hosted on the website or offered by an OSC, consistent with what's being said by a salesperson? And so that
Mhm.
congruency is really important, because if in the absence of that cohesiveness, then distrust or mistrust seeps in. And now the
Yes.
customer starts to believe that they have to question everything. And if I don't get this right, nobody's going to get this right. And so I'm thinking here that the burden is all on everyone, but I think this one falls more on the frontline salesperson than anyone else, to make sure that by the time the customer comes to you, that you already know what they've been exposed to, that you already know the information that they've received. And if the information is wrong, then we've got to raise a stink about this, because otherwise the customer is going to be the one who's going to be damaged by this lack of cohesiveness and communication.
Mhm. Yeah. And there's, excuse me, there is something about the minute you have to correct something and say, oh no, I'm sorry, that's not correct on our website. Actually, it's this base price.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I'm sorry, I'll look into to why it says that, but no, that floor plan is not available at this location. Oh, you never get that back. Something breaks right there.
Yeah. Well, what breaks is there's a I've been something I've been okay. I got to be careful here because I could tangent this thing. I'll try and be very, very brief here. I've been studying recently something. The term is plausibility structure. So when we hear a
Oh,
message, whatever that message is, we run
okay.
it through our filter, our plausibility filter, and we ask, is that plausible? So recently, my wife and I were shopping for a car, and we actually talked to 3 different salespeople in the process. 2 of them told us the same thing about very specific cars we were looking at. What they said was, well, we're already taking a loss on this car. 2 salespeople with the same message at 2 different dealerships, we're already taking a loss on this car. Now, look, you know, I'm not an economist. I am not going to suggest to you that I was even particularly good at math, but I think I've figured this much out. You don't make money when you take losses on what you are selling. And so that failed my plausibility test. It's not
Okay.
plausible that you're going to sell me cars. You people are smart enough to know how this is going to work. And the fact that what happened twice in the same day makes it even less plausible. Well, it's the same thing for our customers. When they come in and they say that home site is not available. Now, it's very possible that that home site might have sold an hour ago, but the plausibility structure to that customer who is already wearing and a little bit, a little wary and a little concerned about whether or not we're going to be honest with them. They're going to look at it and they'll go, oh, sure, the old bait and switch. Now you're going to sell me one for
Mhm.
$20,000 more, aren't you? Well, as a matter of fact, that's exactly what you're going to have to do if you want to buy here. So you can see how for a customer this can get very, very confusing, and again, why those messages have to be so cohesive.
So cohesive. Yeah. And on the marketing side, for the marketing folks listening, this is why it's very important that you communicate clearly what marketing messages that you are delivering, that you
Yeah.
explain the why behind your marketing campaigns. And a long, boring email is not the best way to communicate your message because nobody
Yeah.
reads those. I would highly encourage you to learn how to send video messages to your sales team. We ask the OSCs to send video messages to their prospects. We ask sales team members to use BombBomb to send follow-up emails to their leads. I'm asking marketing people learn to send video, either screen capture emails out to the sales team or video messages like this, and send and explain the marketing campaign and tell them why you're doing it and what is the brand message.
Yeah.
We as marketers have to learn to sell that message to the sales team in a compelling, creative way that they understand, that they'll pay attention to, so that we are all in alignment and we are all congruent. And that's on us as marketers to communicate that in an effective way.
100%. And part of this is, and if you're a sales leader watching right now, part of it is communicating it effectively. Part of it is modeling the very behavior that you want from your sales
Yes,
professionals.
that's right.
So if you want them to reach out to their customers using video technology, and why would they not? It's free, it's powerful, it's lasting. If you want them to do that, then model that behavior. Model that behavior. And I think the only reason why people have not embraced video at this point is just their own comfort addiction. So if you as a sales leader won't do it because you have a comfort addiction, then why would you expect your sales professionals on the front line to be any different? This
That's
is one
right.
where we have to just deal with it, move on, get past our own desire for comfort.
Yeah. And I think the video really was an area that a lot of folks made big progress on in 2020. I do. When you started out with saying this segment, saying how amazing it was, how much progress we made as an industry, as individuals in 2020, adapting to some new things. And I think using video is one of them.
Yeah.
And so we made good progress on that, but we have progress to go. All right, we're going to bring in our whole full panel. So come on in, panel. We've got about 20 minutes left on our town hall. So this is our open forum Q&A. Mike Lyon is popping up. He's exploding. Was that your groundhog impression?
There you go. There's your groundhog. Pretend I'm your virtual groundhog.
I
Meredith.
know. So welcome Angela and Matt and Carrie into our panel here. So we've had a couple questions that I want to come back to. One of them was, okay, in communication on each lead, when we're dealing with twice as many leads and appointments coming through, sometimes just getting them into CRM is difficult, let alone having to do verbal updates as well. Any ideas? So I think this is when Jeff and I were talking about, hey, maybe just make a phone call to the salesperson, you know, to get an update, good communication. And Desiree was just like, lots of leads, help. Mike, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, we're hearing this over and over again. One of the phrases I heard just the other day was, I just want to clear the queue. I just want to clear my queue by the end of the day. And so I hear you. I feel your pain, Desiree. I know it's real. And it's like, you know, we talk about fast responses. We talk about high engagement, personalization. That's really hard to do. So we're starting to shift that just a little bit and talk more a little bit about what we call efficient engagement. So what you don't want to do is create a communication vacuum, because if you create a communication vacuum, you're going to start getting everybody reaching out to you, text, chat, email, chat again, text again, over and over again. So doing things in bulk, using your face with video, coming up with sales automation that tells people specifically where you're at as an organization. I mean, how many of us have called something recently and you hear, due to COVID-19, our people are working from home, call times are longer than expected. Why aren't we saying that as an industry? We are in an unprecedented housing market with demand that is hard to manage. We are going to do our best. Please leave your name, information, and email address, and we'll return this and get back to you. We will be reaching out to you. So I think setting expectations on the front end is going to help. Focusing on efficient engagement. That doesn't mean that we have to manually touch everything all the time, and do our best as possible. But it is physically impossible for one person to manage 1,400 leads a month. It was hard to manage 140. Now we're saying 1,400 leads and everybody's wringing their hands going, yay, we got traffic. And it's like, we can't sell to these people.
Yeah.
So marketing has to adjust the message on the front end. Online
Yeah.
sales or first line of communication has to adjust the personal message or auto response that's going out. And we focus on efficient engagement because you're going to deal with a lot of disappointed people who think they're going to get a house. Like, oh, maybe this is the builder that has inventory. Remember that word, inventory? Maybe this is the builder. And so that's where we stand on it, is just focus on that and also staff up.
Yeah.
Like technology is great, but we don't have enough people to handle this. So you got to shift the gear. You got to shift into this people to handle this. Cause I agree with Jeff. You don't want it all to be automated, and you have to have people to do this.
Right.
You have to have people to manage the chat and people to manage the text messages and people to manage the emails coming in. So
Mhm.
I think one thing, Mike, that you're alluding to help people with the theory that you're talking about, because we get a lot of people that theoretically that works. Theoretically, that's a good thought, right? But here's one of the things is that people that are buying now were not buying 2 years ago. So they don't know what to expect. If the cue is that, thank you, and you'll be getting an appointment in 6 weeks, they don't know what they don't know. And so we have to understand that we're writing the rules right now for the market right now that puts people in the proper place that they feel listened to and taken care of. It's how you go about telling them where they're being placed right now.
yeah,
Okay.
I think,
So, okay.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just processing what she's saying. So you're saying if you're upfront and you're explaining how it's working and what the process is.
Yep.
I mean, if they haven't built before, if this is their first experience, then
Right. Like you're
that's
opening up a new community and you're
Mhm.
already completely full, and you know that salesperson is not going to be able to handle that. You know, the VIP list is new and different and has a rebirth to it, is that people just need to know, where do I fit?
Yeah.
When and how am I going to get help? Just like, we talked before, waiting to get a COVID shot right now. Just tell me where, how, and when. Help
Yeah.
me.
Well, I think
Matt, go ahead, Mike.
go ahead.
No.
Well, that's the challenge, honestly, with all this stuff is you've got a way that we did this market surge, right?
Yep.
So we used to do it one way, and now we've increased traffic, increased leads, and we've applied the same rules to that, which is unmanageable, right? Completely unmanageable.
Right.
And we can't expect our people to handle that. You've also got your prospects, your customers who were used to purchasing and everything one way, and it's shifted to a seller's market, and they're uncomfortable. Just going, what? Like, I can't go anywhere. And the online sales teams are usually left in the middle trying to handle all the disappointment. And I heard this the other day when we were on a coaching call. Someone's been doing this for a long time, very successful. Numbers look great last year. I go, isn't that awesome? She goes, yeah, but it's kind of hard now because I'm a yes person and I have to say no all the time. Like, this is starting to grind on me. And I said,
Yep.
I get it. So let's work together as a team. We talk about the ally, Meredith. It's marketing is helping create messaging around this to where the online salesperson isn't the first person that has to say no to them. Because that's always what it is. Like, we're encouraging them to fill out a form, chat, talk to us, however, and then they get on there like, yeah, that's funny. You want a house where, when, for how much? We don't want that to start. And I think there's a little bit of aversion to, I don't want to decrease the lead count or not have people come in the door. So I don't want to put in messaging that could be seen as negative messaging. It's not negative messaging. It's just transparency.
And that's where I was just segueing, getting ready to talk to Matt, because Matt, in my mind, the conundrum here is I feel like we have an audience. Like, if I think about like a massive stadium tour, we have a stadium packed, sold out tour right now of home buyers that are actually paying attention to us. And I sure hate to waste this stadium packed tour of the moment, but I feel like we're wasting it. Like, we have an audience right now. This is every marketer's dream right now. You know what I'm saying? We actually have an audience of people that want to pay attention to every bit of marketing we could ever put out ever. This is like the moment. This is our moment. And you guys are like pulling me in. Reel her in, baby. Reel her in. Reel her in.
Well,
It's
yeah,
so upsetting. Like, what are we going to do? How could we maximize this moment of our stadium sold out tour when we have nothing to sell them?
I think Jeff hit on it earlier and he said brand, like your brand expectations, right? I mean, I think it is about setting the right expectation. And it's interesting. It's an interesting thought, Mike, about, it's like, hey, why not say, well, and we're experiencing an unexpected amount of calls. However, I think that our customer can be primed for that already because, and almost like the BS radar can go off a little bit because if we're not careful, because if you call any company today, it doesn't matter who they are, the default recording you hear is due to an unexpected amount of volume. Really, at 4:30 in the morning, it's an unexpected amount of volume. You can't
and unexpected after a year of going through this.
Right.
I know, right? Like, hire somebody. Like,
and so we do have to set the marketing. Yes, we've got people in front of us that want our message. They really want a house is what they want. They don't want the message. But it's
no, they want my message. I know it. Did you see my graphs? Did you see my graphs? They wrote my message for the first time ever.
My Top Gun reference of the day. It's like the charts year over year is when they're in the locker room and they're talking about where Jester went and I went this way, Jester went this way, and they're like, where'd who go? Well, like that's what the graphs look like right now. They look like the flight pattern from Top Gun, trying to figure out where Jester went, but because everything's off the charts. But we do have to set a right expectation about what's going to happen, what they should expect. I still to this day, and this is not something like, we're not having trouble generating leads. We're not having trouble generating sales. But this is the time to focus on getting your processes and systems right? Like, we still have builders that don't have CRM systems. We still have builders that have CRM systems that aren't set up properly. If we want to make, we still have builders that aren't creating content at what the buyer wants to see and expects based on where they live their life. And I think that's where we really have to start because our people they're working a ton and they're killing themselves, right? I mean, just working a ton. And the way that we can support them is to put the dance floor, as Disney says it, like we've got to put the dance floor out there and let them know what boundaries that they have to work with. We have to give the boundaries. We have to give the systems and processes and be committed to doing that now, because it's a lot easier to fix those mistakes today than it is when the course corrects itself. And, because we're going to be going, oh, I can't focus on that right now because I'm selling too many houses. And then when the course corrects itself, we're going to be saying, oh my gosh, I can't spend the money and focus on that right now because I'm not selling enough houses. So when do we do it? And that is how we're going to set the right expectations and communicate clearly and effectively and keep our brand promise for when they come in, what they can and should expect from us. And hopefully it's not the same message of I'm going to lose money on this car today. And they hear it over and over and over again. And then they don't believe what you're saying because it's not genuine.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, go ahead, Ange.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, that's where, leaders within the organization really have to take note of how they can support their team and how they can, and the systems, whether it's people, whether it's systems, whether it's a combination, it should already be in place, but Matt, to your point, I mean, it needs to be in place now if it's not already.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, Matt, when you say to someone that you've got a builder that is selling a home that's going to close in 2022, right?
March of 2022.
That's a fact of our today. So how do we reverse engineer that says you're a March 22 closing, and make them realize the win that they've got, that they are that in fact, and reverse engineer that with the milestones, with the embedded touch points, with the automation, the combination of everything. And yeah, I see process, and from Laura, and they have to be created sooner rather than later, because an individual, whether it's the construction manager, the salesperson, the online sales counselor, you pick them, to be able to calm these people down, it's just, that's too costly and you can't do it.
And it's always about compared to what. I go back to my days of selling new homes and the model, and everything is compared to what. How do you like this kitchen compared to the one that you have? How do you like the, you go through the compared to what's. Well, the consumer today is going to compare their interaction to what they interact with on a day-to-day basis. And what have they been like? You can live your life now and not leave your house. And I get an email and an update. I get an email from Amazon that says, we know that you're thinking about clicking the buy now button. And then I click the buy now button, and then I said, then you get the old, well, you just bought it. It's going to come to you in 2 days. And then you get the next email that says, it's on the truck with Joe. It's 27 minutes from your door. And, and all these things. And then what we want to do is we want to throw them in a queue, and we'll say, we'll get to you in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I do. There's one technique here that I might throw out here that we teach to our clients. I know that a lot of both OSCs and frontline salespeople, they feel like they're bearing the title of chief heartbreak officer these days. Like I'm the one who's got to tell you how bad things are. But I think that and I'll just very briefly, my sister just sold her home. She lives up in Oregon, and she's buying a brand new home. They don't know when they're going to start it. And she was like, well, what do I do? Because if I I can't buy a home without selling my home. But if I sell my home, I don't have a place to live, and I got to make a double move. And I told Cindy what we tell our clients, that buying a home is difficult in the best of circumstances, but it's still a short-term consideration. Living in the home, enjoying the home,
Right.
loving the home, raising your family in the home, that's a long-term thing. Don't let the short-term difficulties get in the way of the long-term goal. And we've got to keep our customers focused on the fact that this is not going to be easy in the short run. But if you persevere and you hang in there, we're going to get the right home for you in the long run. They need that hope. They need something to look forward to down the road.
And you know what?
Short-term pain, long-term gain.
We don't owe them. We don't have to defend what we're doing as an industry, because it's awesome. We do not have to defend it. We don't owe them a refrigerator because they're closing 4 weeks late. I think that understanding that we're doing everything we can and communicating that, and that we're in this together. When we talk about our allies, Meredith, and you've got construction, you've got sales, you've got everybody, we need to educate our customers to be an ally with us as well.
Yeah, that's right. And that is the concept that I really want to explore next week in my 15 minutes, not 1 second longer, Mike Lyon, is this idea of building allies with our teams so that we are more proactively looking out for each other. Because I think if we do that, particularly with our communication, then we operate more streamlined. We certainly communicate better. And if we do that, then we're going to save each other time. We're going to be more efficient. In the end, what the customer wants in 2021, I was reading this research report, and it said 2 key words, and I thought this was fantastic. In 2020, what the customer wanted was safety. But in 2021, what the customer wants is safety and convenience. It's not enough just to provide a safe experience in 2021. In 2020, in 2021, it's got to be safe and convenient. You have to have this figured out by now. And in the pre-event chat, Jeff, you want to share what the Southwest Airlines example, and then I'll wrap us all up and get us out of here. But this was Jeff was sharing something that Southwest Airlines is doing that I thought was a really perfect example of you got to provide both safety and convenience to meet their
Yeah.
expectations.
So I will not be able to watch IBS live. I have to buy it and watch the recordings because I had to decide whether to stay around for IBS live or go to Hawaii. And I know you're thinking it's crazy, but I decided to go to Hawaii with my wife. And the thing is, if you're going to fly to Hawaii these days, you have to be tested negative for COVID within 72 hours by an approved by the state of Hawaii lab. Well, if you go to a CVS or a Walgreens, there's no guarantee you're going to get it in time. And Southwest Airlines, they fly to Hawaii, and it's in their best interest to make sure you get your test. So there is now at my local airport, it's the Sacramento, California airport, there is now a portable lab set up outside literally in the parking lot of the AM/PM gas station. And it's all run courtesy of Southwest Airlines, where you can go and in 4 hours you can get your test results so that you can make sure you can get on your plane. And
Nice.
that's the idea. If we're in this weird time, what great organizations do, they step forward and they say, how can we step into our customers' shoes and just make this a little bit easier?
That's right. Make it safe and convenient. That's what 2021 looks like. Okay. So everyone, thank you for joining us today. Collectively, we took a deep breath. We remembered to try to enjoy this crazy wild ride, to try to treat each other as allies and not as opponents. And remember, this may be a roller coaster. You may feel like you're getting a little beat up by the market, but as one of my favorite of all time television characters says, one of my favorite guilty pleasures is Yellowstone. Anybody else watch Yellowstone? Love me some Yellowstone. Love me some Beth Dutton from Yellowstone. And she says, remember, you are the trailer park. I am the tornado people. I am the tornado. And in this crazy market, you are the tornado, not the trailer park. Everybody, have a great month, and we will see you next time. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.